The forensic accountant slid the folder across the conference table. $340,000 missing over 18 months, and every single withdrawal had been authorized by my business partner, Derek, my cousin Derek. The same Derek who, 3 hours earlier, I'd walked in on screwing my wife in my own bedroom. I couldn't breathe. The fluorescent lights in Tom Bradley's law office hummed overhead, and I kept staring at the numbers on the page like they had rearranged themselves into something that made sense. $340,000, fake vendor payments, inflated supply invoices, phantom equipment purchases that never existed, all signed off by the guy I'd trusted with half my business, half my life. "Mike," Tom said quietly, his hand on the folder, "I know this is a lot to process, but we need to talk about next steps. Next steps. Like there was a roadmap for this. Like there was a chapter in the small business handbook titled, What to Do When Your Wife and Cousin Destroy Your Entire Life in One Afternoon." My hands were shaking. I pressed them flat against the table, trying to steady myself, but I could still feel it. That moment from earlier today, walking into my house at 2 p.m. because I'd finished a supply run early. Jennifer's car in the driveway. Derek's truck parked a block away, like he thought I wouldn't notice. The bedroom door slightly open. The sounds that made my stomach drop before my brain even caught up. And then seeing them. In my bed. In my house. Jennifer's face when she saw me standing in the doorway. Not shame, not horror, just annoyance. Like I'd interrupted something important. "Mike, wait, I can explain." There was nothing to explain. I'd stood there for maybe 5 seconds before I turned and walked out. Didn't yell, didn't throw anything, just left. Drove straight to Tom's office because somewhere in my spinning head, I knew I needed a lawyer before I needed anything else. That was 6 hours ago. Now I was learning that my wife sleeping with my cousin was just the appetizer. The main course was financial ruin. "How long have you known?" I asked Tom. My voice sounded strange, distant. "Gary's been working on the audit for 2 weeks, Tom said, nodding to the forensic accountant sitting across from us. Gary Reynolds, 50-something, looked like he'd seen every kind of fraud there was, and this one didn't even crack his top 10. "We wanted to have all the documentation solid before we brought it to you." 2 weeks. They'd known for 2 weeks that Derek was stealing from me, and I'd been walking around like an idiot, talking about opening a third location, planning for the future, a future that was already gone. "There's more," Gary said, and I actually laughed, couldn't help it. What more could there be? "Jennifer's pregnant," I heard myself say. "She told me tonight, after I caught them, said it's Derek's baby." The room went quiet. Tom closed his eyes. Gary made a note on his legal pad like he was documenting the world's worst business case study. "How far along?" Tom asked. 4 months, maybe 5. I did the math in my head. We'd been trying for a baby, at least I thought we'd been trying. Turns out she was trying with someone else. The affair's been going on for over 2 years, according to her. If you've ever trusted someone completely, I mean really truly trusted them with your money, your business, your life, you know that moment when you realize you were wrong. It's not just shock, it's like your whole reality shatters. Everything you thought was solid turns out to be made of paper. Tom leaned back in his chair. "Okay, here's what we're dealing with. The embezzlement is clear-cut. We have documentation, signatures, bank records. That's criminal fraud. The affair complicates the divorce, but actually makes it cleaner in some ways. Colorado's no fault, but adultery still matters for asset division. And the business?" I asked. "That's the complicated part," Gary said. "Derek owns 40%, as per your partnership agreement. But the fraud gives us grounds to dissolve the partnership for cause. He'd forfeit his share." "He won't go quietly," I said. "You don't know Derek. He'll fight. He'll sue. He'll drag this out until there's nothing left to fight over." "Let him try," Tom said. "The evidence is overwhelming. And Mike, I'm going to be straight with you. The business is in trouble regardless. You're 3 months behind on supplier payments. There are vendors threatening liens. Derek wasn't just stealing, he wasn't paying bills. My life's work, 15 years of 80-hour weeks, starting with my dad's failing garage after he died, building it into something real, something successful. Harrison and Harrison Auto Repair, my name and his name. And Derek had been bleeding it dry while smiling at me across the shop floor every morning. How bad is it? I asked. Without a significant capital injection, you're looking at bankruptcy in 60 to 90 days, Gary said. I'm sorry. I sat there, staring at my hands. Mechanic's hands, scarred and calloused. My dad's hands. He'd taught me everything. How to diagnose an engine problem by sound, how to talk to customers, how to run an honest business. He'd died when I was 24, left me a shop that was drowning in debt, and I'd saved it. Worked myself half to death to save it, and now it was gone anyway. There is one option, Tom said carefully. We've had inquiries from a regional chain about acquiring your locations. They'd pay for the assets, the customer base, the Harrison name. It wouldn't be what the business is worth healthy, but it'd be enough to pay off creditors and give you a clean start. Sell my father's business, I said, or watch it die in bankruptcy, Tom replied. Not cruel, just honest. I'm sorry, Mike. Those are the choices. Maybe you've been there. Maybe someone you loved looked you in the eye and lied, and you believed them because, why wouldn't you? They're family. I drove home that night, except it wasn't home anymore, was it? I couldn't go back to that house, to that bedroom. I'd already thrown some clothes in my truck and checked into a motel near the highway, the kind of place with thin walls and a flickering neon sign that buzzed all night. My phone wouldn't stop ringing. Jennifer, mostly. A few from Derek. I didn't answer. What was there to say? Around midnight, I listened to Jennifer's voicemails. The first few were crying, apologizing. Then they got angry, then desperate. Mike, we need to talk. I know you're hurt, but we can work through this. We can go to counseling. We can delete. You're being dramatic. Yes, I made a mistake, but you're not perfect either. You worked all the time. You never delete. I'm pregnant, Mike. Doesn't that matter to you? Are you really going to abandon a pregnant woman? I sat on the edge of that motel bed, phone in my hand, and I realized something. The baby wasn't mine. The marriage wasn't real. The partnership was fraud. None of it had ever been what I thought it was. I was 37 years old, and my entire life was a lie. But sitting there in that depressing room, with the sound of trucks on the highway and the neon sign buzzing outside, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let them drag me down. I wasn't going to spend the next year fighting in court, drowning in debt, watching everything my father built turn to ashes. I was going to walk away, sell the business, file for divorce, press charges against Derek, and start over. Somewhere else, somewhere far from here, somewhere nobody knew my name or my story. Back then, I thought that was the worst of it. I couldn't have been more wrong. Let me back up. Tell you how I got here, because the wreckage only makes sense if you understand what I built first. I grew up in Riverside, a mid-sized city outside Philadelphia. Blue-collar town, good people. The kind of place where everyone knew everyone's business. My dad, Robert Harrison, ran a small garage on the east side. Nothing fancy, 2 bays, basic repairs, mostly domestic cars. My mom, Karen, was a secretary at the elementary school. We weren't rich, but we were okay. Dad worked 6 days a week, came home smelling like motor oil and tire rubber. I love that smell. Still do. From the time I was 14, I worked in that garage after school, sweeping floors at first, then handing Dad tools, then learning to do oil changes, brake jobs, diagnostics. By the time I was 18, I could tear down an engine and put it back together blindfolded. Dad died when I was 24, heart attack at 58, right there in the shop. I found him slumped over the hood of a Chevy Silverado, wrench still in his hand. He left me the garage, also left me $40,000 in debt, outdated equipment, and a customer base that was slowly drifting to the big chain shops with their coupons and their extended hours. Most people told me to sell, cut my losses. I was young, I could go work for someone else, make decent money, have a normal life, but I couldn't do it. That garage was my dad's legacy. His name was on the sign, Robert Harrison, Master Mechanic. I couldn't let it die. So I worked, 80-hour weeks, sometimes 90. I lived in a studio apartment that cost $600 a month, drove a 15-year-old Ford F-150 that barely ran, ate ramen and peanut butter sandwiches. Every dollar went back into the business, new diagnostic equipment, better tools, marketing. I took night classes at the community college, business management, accounting, customer service, and slowly, painfully, it worked. I found a niche European car repair. Most mechanics in the area didn't want to touch BMWs or Mercedes. Too complicated, too expensive if you screwed up. But I studied, got certified, invested in the specialized tools. Within 2 years, I was the go-to guy for European cars in a 50-mile radius. By the time I was 30, I'd paid off all the debt and moved to a bigger location, hired 3 mechanics. Revenue went from $150,000 a year to $800,000. I wasn't rich, but I was doing well, really well. That's when Derek came back into my life. Derek Harrison, my cousin, my dad's sister's kid. We'd been close growing up. He was 2 years older, and when we were kids, he was like the big brother I never had. Fishing trips, Thanksgiving dinners, him teaching me to drive stick shift in an empty parking lot. But Derek's adult life had been rougher. Dropped out of college sophomore year, bounced between sales jobs, cars, insurance, medical equipment, got married at 26, divorced at 29, married again at 32, divorced at 35. By the time he showed up at my shop in 2019, he was broke, bitter, and desperate. "Mike," he said, standing in my office doorway, looking 10 years older than he should. "I need a job. I know I don't deserve to ask, but I need help." I hired him as shop manager, not out of pity, well, maybe a little pity, but because he was good with people. Always had been. Charismatic, funny, made customers feel comfortable. And he knew computers, which I didn't. He set up our scheduling system, improved our online presence, streamlined operations. For 6 months, he proved himself. Customer retention went up. Reviews got better. He seemed genuinely grateful for the chance. That's when I made the biggest mistake of my life. I offered him a partnership. We were planning to expand, open a second location. I needed capital, and I needed help managing it. Derek had some money from his second divorce settlement, $50,000. I put in $100,000. We drew up papers, Harrison & Harrison Auto Repair. I kept 60%. He got 40%. It felt right, family business. My dad would have approved. Derek was family, he'd proven himself, and I trusted him. If you're sitting there thinking I was an idiot, you're right. But hindsight's 20/20. In the moment, it seemed like the smart move. That was 2020. Same year, I met Jennifer. She walked into the shop one afternoon in July. Her Mercedes SUV was making a weird noise, she said, and her regular dealer wanted $2,000 to fix it. She'd heard I was the guy who wouldn't rip her off. I diagnosed it in 10 minutes, loose heat shield. Fixed it for free, took me 5 minutes with a wrench. She was shocked. "You're not going to charge me for that? No, come back when you need real work." She came back 2 weeks later, asked me to coffee. Jennifer was beautiful. I'm not going to lie about that. Tall, blonde, great smile. She worked in marketing for a real estate company, made good money, drove that Mercedes I'd fixed. She seemed impressed by my success story. Garage mechanic who built something from nothing. We dated for 14 months. She was charming, ambitious, fun. Pushed me to dress better, network more, think bigger. "You could have 5 locations," she'd say. 10, you could franchise this. We got married in October 2019. Small wedding, mostly family and shop guys. Derek was my best man, actually. Gave a toast about how proud he was of me, how our family was full of fighters who never gave up. Looking back now, I can see it differently. I can see Jennifer's eyes on Derek during that toast. I can see Derek's hand on her shoulder, just a second too long, when he posed for a photo with us. But you don't see those things in the moment. You see what you want to see. The next few years were good. Or, I thought they were. Business boomed. We opened the second location in 2021. Revenue hit $1.8 million, 12 employees. I sponsored the local Little League team, donated to the Children's Hospital, joined the Chamber of Commerce. Jennifer seemed happy. She loved our house, a 4-bedroom colonial in a good school district that cost $450,000. She drove her Mercedes, went to yoga, posted pictures of our perfect life on Instagram. Derek was thriving too. Managed the second location, handled all the finances, talked about opening a third shop. He called me brother and meant it, I thought. Or he'd say it anyway. We'd all have dinner together once a month. Me, Jennifer, Derek. sometimes Derek's girlfriend of the week. Jennifer and Derek got along great. She'd help him with marketing ideas for the business. They'd text about social media strategies, email about vendor negotiations. I worked the shop floor, did diagnostics, managed the technical side, built relationships with customers. I was the face of Harrison & Harrison. Derek handled operations, payroll, vendor payments, taxes, all the back-end stuff I hated. I trusted him completely. The red flags were there. I see them now. Derek always volunteering to handle the finances alone. Getting defensive when I asked about specific expenses. Taking random business trips to meet with suppliers that never seemed to result in better deals. Jennifer's shopping getting more expensive. Designer handbags, jewelry, spa days. But she had her own income, right? She worked in real estate. She made good money, except she didn't. I found out later she'd quit that job in early 2022. Just stopped going. Told me every morning she was heading to work, then spent the day God knows where. With Derek, mostly I'd learn. In hotel rooms paid for with business credit cards. On shopping trips funded by embezzled money. For 2 years, they carried on an affair under my nose. For 18 months, Derek systematically stole from the business we built together. And I noticed nothing. Maybe you built something from nothing too. Maybe you know what it's like to sacrifice everything. Relationships, sleep, your health. To build something you're proud of. And maybe you trusted the wrong person with it. By late 2022, cracks started showing. Cash flow got tight even though revenue was steady. Suppliers called me directly asking about overdue payments. I'd ask Derek about it. He'd say it was just timing issues. He'd handle it. I'd see charges on the business credit card I didn't recognize. Hotels in cities where we had no customers. Restaurants I'd never been to. Derek would explain them away. Vendor meetings, client dinners. I wanted to believe him, so I did. Then Jennifer got pregnant, February 2023. She told me over dinner at our favorite Italian place. "We're going to have a baby," she said, smiling, but something in her eyes looked scared, not excited. I was thrilled. We'd been talking about kids for a year, trying for 6 months. Or I thought we were trying. She'd been taking prenatal vitamins, tracking her cycle, doing all the things. I thought we were building toward this together, but she seemed anxious, distant. After she told me about the pregnancy, she avoided intimacy. Said she was nauseous, tired, hormones were crazy. I believed her because what else would I believe? Derek started acting weird too, taking more personal days, missing family dinners. When I'd ask if something was wrong, he'd snap at me. "Everything's fine, Mike. Stop hovering." The breaking point came in April. I found a hotel receipt in Jennifer's purse. She'd left it on the kitchen counter. I was looking for Advil, and there it was. Fairmont Hotel, Philadelphia. $380. Date was a Tuesday 3 weeks earlier, a day she'd told me she had a work conference in Pittsburgh. I confronted her. "What were you doing at the Fairmont?" "It was a work thing. I must have written down the wrong city." "The receipt has your personal credit card number." "Mike, are you seriously accusing me of something?" "I wasn't, not yet." But the seed was planted. I started paying attention. Checked our credit card statements, pages of charges at restaurants, stores, hotels. Checked our bank accounts, money missing, a lot of money. Checked Jennifer's phone when she was in the shower, texts to Derek that made my blood run cold. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I wish we could just run away together. He suspects nothing." That's when I called Tom Bradley, the lawyer I knew from Chamber of Commerce meetings. "I think my business partner is stealing from me, and I think my wife is cheating on me, possibly both at the same time." Tom brought in Gary Reynolds, the forensic accountant. They spent 2 weeks going through everything: bank records, invoices, credit card statements, tax filings. Built the case while I went through the motions of normal life, pretending I didn't know my world was ending. And then came that afternoon. The supply run I finished early. Walking into my house at 2 p.m., my wife and my cousin in my bed, the look on Derek's face. Not apologetic. Defiant, like I was the one intruding. Jennifer pulling the sheet up, her voice shrill. "Mike, wait, I can explain." I didn't wait, didn't yell, just walked out, drove to Tom's office and learned that in addition to screwing my wife, Derek had stolen $340,000 from our business. So, yeah, That's how I got here. 15 years of hard work destroyed by two people I loved and trusted. What's at stake? Everything. Financially, $280,000 owed to suppliers, $120,000 gone from personal savings, $65,000 in credit card debt from Jennifer's spending, $320,000 left on the house mortgage. The business equity, my only real asset, worthless if the business fails. Reputationally, I'm known in our community. Successful businessman, Chamber of Commerce member, Little League sponsor. If the business goes under, I look incompetent. The divorce and affair would be gossip for months, and I had 12 employees whose livelihoods depended on me. 12 families who'd lose their income if I couldn't save the business. Emotionally, a marriage that was a lie from the start. A cousin I loved, like a brother who was stealing from me while looking me in the eye. The question that kept me up at night, was I just a fool? Had I been so focused on building the business that I missed everything? Was the success real, or was it built on foundations of lies? And legally, Derek was threatening to sue for his partnership share. Jennifer could go after assets in the divorce. The business could face liens, bankruptcy, criminal investigations. I had a choice. I could fight. Spend the next year drowning in legal fees and debt, watching everything burn while Derek and Jennifer drag me through court. Or I could make a clean cut, walk away, start over. Looking back, the signs were all there. But when you love someone, when you trust family, you explain away the red flags. You tell yourself you're being paranoid. You're not. Trust your gut. So there I was. Business failing, wife pregnant with my cousin's baby, $465,000 in debt, and two people who destroyed my life asking me to save theirs. I had to make a choice, and for the first time in my life, I chose myself. Babe, I spent that first night in the motel thinking about my dad. There was this one time when I was 16, working in the garage with him on a Saturday. We had this customer's car, a Honda Accord, that kept coming back with the same problem, transmission slipping. We'd fix it, customer would drive away happy, then a week later, it'd be back. Same issue. We'd fix it again. Same result. After the third time, Dad told the customer, I can keep taking your money and patching this, or I can be honest with you, your transmission's dying. It needs a full rebuild, and that costs more than the car's worth. Sometimes the best fix is knowing when to walk away before it bankrupts you. The customer sold the car. Thanked my dad for being honest. That night in the motel, I remembered that moment. Sometimes the best fix is knowing when to walk away. My marriage was the Honda Accord. My partnership with Derek was the transmission. I could keep throwing money and time and energy at fixing it, or I could accept that it was broken beyond repair and save myself. I called Tom Bradley at 7 a.m. Let's do this. Sell the business, file for divorce, press charges against Derek. I want out. All of it. You sure? Tom asked. I'm sure. We move fast. Tom connected me with a corporate lawyer, a divorce attorney, and walked me through the criminal complaint process. Within a week, I had a strategy. The criminal case against Derek was straightforward. The forensic accounting was airtight. Fake invoices, phantom vendors, personal expenses on business accounts. Derek had signed every document. There was no plausible deniability. Tom filed a police report. The DA's office took it seriously. $340,000 is serious money. Derek was arrested on a Monday morning. I wasn't there, but I heard about it. He'd shown up at the shop to open up, and two detectives were waiting. They cuffed him in front of the customers in the parking lot. He yelled about how I'd set him up, how he was going to sue me for everything I had. The local news covered it. Local business owner arrested for embezzlement. Derek's mugshot on the evening broadcast. His family, my Aunt Susan and Uncle Paul, called me screaming. How could I do this to family? Derek made mistakes, but he didn't deserve prison. Ask Derek what he did to family, I said, and hung up. The partnership dissolution came next. Our agreement had a clause for cause termination. Fraud, embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty. Any of those voided Derek's claim to the business. Tom filed the paperwork. Derek's public defender tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. A judge ruled that Derek forfeited his 40% share. The divorce was almost easy by comparison. I filed on grounds of adultery. Colorado's a no-fault state, but adultery still matters for asset division. Jennifer tried to claim she deserved half of everything, the house, the business, savings. But we had a prenup. Ironically, she'd insisted on it when we got engaged. She'd been worried about protecting her assets from me. It worked the other way. Also, paternity test confirmed the baby wasn't mine, not my kid, not my responsibility. My lawyer made that very clear. Through all of this, the arrests, the court filings, the legal motions, I was living in that highway motel, working part-time at my buddy Jason's garage for cash. I'd liquidated everything I could, transferred some personal tools and equipment to my mom's name temporarily, legal with documentation, cashed out a small CD from my dad's life insurance, $40,000 I'd never touched, sold my truck, bought a 15-year-old Chevy for $3,000. Gary Reynolds, the forensic accountant, laid it out for me one afternoon in his office. After the business sale goes through, after debts are paid and Derek's share is forfeited, you'll clear about $180,000. That's not nothing, Mike. You could start over somewhere new, small town, lower cost of living. Open a one-man garage, live simply. You've got skills, you'll be fine. Start over, somewhere new. I'd never seriously considered leaving Riverside. It was home. My dad was buried here. My mom still lived here. All my friends, my network, my reputation, it was all here. But what was here for me now? A failed marriage, a ruined business partnership, gossip and pity everywhere I went. 12 employees I'd have to lay off when the business sold. That night, I started researching. Small towns in America with low cost of living, places where a mechanic could make a decent living, mountain communities, coastal villages, Midwest farm towns. One listing caught my eye. Cedar Ridge, Colorado, population 3,200, a small auto repair shop for sale. Owner retiring, no one to take over. Single bay garage with an apartment above it, $85,000. I clicked through the photos. Old brick building on Main Street, mountains in the background. It looked peaceful. I submitted an inquiry form, figured I'd never hear back. 3 days later, my phone rang. Unknown Colorado number. Is this Michael Harrison? A woman's voice, warm, with a slight Western accent. Yeah, that's me. Hi, I'm Lily Matthews. I got your inquiry about Joe's garage. He's my uncle. Well, was my uncle. He passed last year and we've been trying to sell the place. I help manage his estate. Are you seriously interested? I might be, I said. Tell me about Cedar Ridge. And just like that, my life changed direction. I drove to Cedar Ridge in early October, 13-hour drive from Riverside through Pennsylvania, Ohio, across the Great Plains, into the Rockies. The landscape changed gradually. Flat fields giving way to rolling hills, giving way to mountains that took my breath away. Cedar Ridge sat in a valley in the Colorado foothills. Population 3,200, elevation 6,800 feet. Main Street had that classic small-town look. Brick buildings from the 1920s, wide sidewalks, American flags hanging from old-fashioned lampposts. There was a hardware store, a diner called Magpies, a coffee shop with a hand-painted sign that said Mountain Grounds, a library, a post office, a Methodist church. The garage, Cedar Ridge Auto Service, was on the east end of Main Street. Single bay, small office, apartment above. The paint was peeling, the sign was faded. The garage door squeaked when the realtor opened it, but the bones were solid. Good equipment, well maintained. And the apartment, while small, was clean and had a view of the mountains that made me stop and stare. Betty Kruger, the realtor, was 70-something, with white hair and sharp eyes. You're not from around here? She said. Not a question. Pennsylvania, I said. Long way to come for a garage. Needed a change. She nodded like that explained everything. Town needs a good mechanic. Old Joe, Lily's uncle, he ran this place for 40 years. Closed shop when his arthritis got too bad, then passed away 8 months later. Heart attack. Folks been driving to Fairview for repairs since then. That's 30 miles. Be nice to have someone local again. I toured the space. Lift worked fine. Air compressor was older but functional. Tool benches were solid. The office had a computer from 2015 and a filing cabinet full of Joe's old records. The apartment above was basic: kitchenette, bathroom, one bedroom, small living area. But it had everything I needed. How much? I asked. $85,000 for everything. Building, equipment, apartment. Owner will finance if you need it. I had exactly $83,000 liquid after the business sale cleared and debts were paid. Close enough. I'll take it, I said. Betty blinked. Don't you want to think about it? Talk to your family? Nothing to think about. I'll have my lawyer send over paperwork. She shook my hand. Welcome to Cedar Ridge, son. 3 days later, I moved in. Everything I owned fit in my truck. Some clothes, my toolbox, my laptop, a few photos. That was it. I'd left everything else behind. Furniture, books, the life I'd built. Started fresh with almost nothing. The first morning I woke up in Cedar Ridge, I lay in that small apartment bedroom, looking at mountains through the window, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Just peace. On day 3, I walked down Main Street to explore. The hardware store, Rodriguez Hardware, had everything I'd need for minor garage repairs. The owner, Susan Rodriguez, late 40s, also turned out to be the mayor. You're the guy who bought Joe's place, she said. Not a question. News travels fast in small towns. That's me, Mike Harrison. Good to meet you, Mike. We're glad to have a mechanic again. You need anything? Permits, supplies, advice? You let me know. I stopped at Mountain Grounds for coffee. The place was cozy, exposed brick, mismatched furniture, local art on the walls. Smelled like fresh-baked pastries and espresso. The woman behind the counter looked up and smiled. Auburn hair pulled back in a ponytail, green eyes, paint stain on her apron, maybe early 30s. You must be the guy who bought Joe's garage, she said. Betty told me. She tells everyone everything. I laughed. News travels fast. Fastest thing in Cedar Ridge. I'm Lily. I own this place. Mike, I said, shaking her hand. Nice to meet you. What can I get you? Large black coffee, and whatever that is. I pointed at a tray of scones. Cranberry orange, my mom's recipe. She made the coffee with this easy competence, steamed the milk just right, poured it perfectly. When she handed it to me, the latte art was a perfect leaf. I stared at it. Too pretty to drink? She asked, grinning. Almost. We talked for 20 minutes. She asked where I was from. I said Pennsylvania. She asked why Cedar Ridge. I said I needed a change. She didn't push. I learned she'd moved here from Denver 5 years ago with her daughter. Bought the struggling coffee shop, turned it into the community hub it was now. Single mom, hard worker, loved the town. Her daughter, Sophie, burst through the door at 3:30, backpack bouncing. 8 years old, gap-toothed smile, curious eyes. Mom, can I have a hot chocolate? After homework, Lily said. Then to me, Sophie, this is Mr. Harrison. He's the new mechanic. Do you fix bikes? Sophie asked me seriously. I can probably figure it out. My chain keeps falling off. Mom tried to fix it, but it keeps happening. Bring it by the garage this weekend. I'll take a look. Sophie beamed. Lily smiled at me, this warm, grateful smile that hit me somewhere in the chest. I left with my coffee and scone, feeling lighter than I had in months. The next week, the community came to me. Frank Cooper, 68, retired postal worker, stopped by to introduce himself. Heard you're from back east. What brings you to Cedar Ridge? Needed a fresh start, I said. Frank nodded like he understood. Everyone who comes to Cedar Ridge is running from something or towards something, sometimes both. Welcome. Pastor Jim from the Methodist Church invited me to a community dinner. I'm not religious, but I went anyway. Met half the town, ranchers, teachers, the librarian, the fire chief. Everyone was friendly in that small town way. No one asked too many questions about my past. My first paying customer was Betty's grandson. Truck wouldn't start. I diagnosed it in 10 minutes. Corroded battery terminal. Fixed it for free. How much do I owe you? He asked. Nothing. First one's on the house. Welcome to Cedar Ridge gift. He told his friends. Word spread. By the end of the second week, I had steady business. Not overwhelming, just enough. Folks appreciated that I explained what was wrong, didn't try to upsell them, charged fair prices. Finally, someone who doesn't treat us like idiots, one woman said. I settled into a rhythm. Open the garage at 7 a.m., work until 6 p.m., close up, go upstairs, make something simple for dinner. Pasta, stir-fry, sandwiches, read, sleep. Wake up without anxiety for the first time in months. I became a regular at Mountain Grounds. Every morning, 7 a.m., large black coffee, sometimes a scone. Lily would have it ready when I walked in. We'd chat about the weather, the town, her daughter. Easy conversation, no pressure, no hidden agendas. On weekends I explored, hiking trails in the foothills, fishing in the creek that ran through town. I went to the high school football games. The whole town turned out, everyone sitting on old metal bleachers, cheering for kids they'd watched grow up. Frank Cooper became my coffee buddy. He'd show up at Mountain Grounds around the same time as me, and we'd sit at the same table. He told stories about Cedar Ridge, who'd lived here for generations, who'd moved here to escape city life, the town's history. I mostly listened. Pastor Jim invited me to poker night. 5 guys, all over 60 except me, playing Texas Hold'em for quarters in the church basement. I lost $30, but had more fun than I'd had in years. Tom and Sarah, who ran Magpie's Diner, started comping me meals when I came in. "You fixed Sarah's car and undercharged us," Tom said. "Least we can do." It was different from Riverside. In Riverside, I was always networking, always building relationships for business purposes. Here, people just liked me, or they didn't. But it wasn't transactional, it was real. I kept a journal, habit from therapy. I noticed my entries changing, less about anger and betrayal, more about gratitude. Things like, woke up without anxiety, worked on a 1987 Bronco, beautiful truck. Lily saved me a cinnamon roll, watched the sunset from the garage bay door, mountains turned pink. This is what peace feels like. Tom Bradley called with updates on the legal cases. Derek pled guilty to reduced charges, avoided trial, got 18 months in prison plus 5 years probation and a restitution order. The business sale finalized, $420,000 total. I got $180,000 after debts. The divorce was finalized. Jennifer got nothing from me. Court issued a no-contact order. When Tom told me it was all done, I waited for some feeling, triumph, vindication, relief. I felt nothing, just done. They were strangers now. That life was over. This life, Cedar Ridge, the garage, morning coffee with Lily, Sunday hikes. This was real. If you've ever left a toxic situation and finally felt like you could breathe again, you know this feeling. It's not happiness yet. It's just peace. And sometimes, peace is enough. I'd been in Cedar Ridge for 2 months when Sophie's bike chain broke again. I'd fixed it once, but the bike was old and the derailleur was shot. "Tell your mom to bring it by Saturday," I told Sophie when she mentioned it at the coffee shop. "I'll fix it for real this time. Maybe teach you how to do it yourself." Saturday morning, Lily showed up with Sophie and the bike. Sophie was excited, bouncing on her toes. "Can I really learn?" "Sure," I said. "Come on." I set the bike up on my work stand, showed Sophie the tools, explained how the chain and gears worked. Lily stood back, watching, sipping coffee from a to-go cup. "You're good with kids," she said quietly. "I like teaching," I said. "My dad taught me everything in a garage. Seems right to pass it on." Sophie's hands were small, but she was careful. I guided her through removing the chain, checking the derailleur, adjusting the tension. When we got the chain back on and it shifted smoothly, Sophie clapped. "I fixed it." "You did," I said. "Next time it breaks, you'll know what to do." Lily's eyes were bright. "Thank you, Mike. Really. Anytime." They stayed for another hour. Sophie helped me with a few other small projects, organizing bolts, cleaning tools. Lily and I talked while we worked. She told me about her ex-husband, high school sweetheart turned controlling and abusive. How she'd saved money in secret for 2 years before leaving. How she'd come to Cedar Ridge because her aunt lived here. And it seemed like a place to start over. "I haven't dated since," she said. "Haven't wanted to." "I get that," I said. "Marriage it can break something in you." She looked at me. "What happened, Mike? You don't have to tell me, but something happened." I took a breath. I was married, had a business partner, both betrayed me, lost pretty much everything. "I'm sorry." "I'm not," I said, surprising myself. "If it hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here." She smiled. "Funny how that works, isn't it? The worst things lead to the best things sometimes." Sophie ran over with a wrench she wanted to show me. The moment passed, but something shifted. That night, lying in bed, I realized I wasn't just teaching Sophie about bikes. I was showing Lily who I was, and for the first time since Jennifer, I wanted someone to see me. The next few weeks, Sophie found reasons to visit the garage, loose screws on her scooter, squeaky hinges on her jewelry box, a flashlight that didn't work. She just wanted to learn, to hang out, to talk about tools and engines and how things worked. Lily started staying for the visits. We'd drink coffee, talk while Sophie tinkered. The conversations got deeper. One afternoon in November, Sophie was in the garage bay trying to organize my toolbox by size. I didn't have the heart to tell her I organized by type. Lily and I sat in the office, watching her through the window. "You never talk about your ex," Lily said. "The wife." "Not much to say," I said. "She cheated with my business partner, who was also my cousin." Lily's eyes widened. "Jesus, Mike." "Yeah, I can't even imagine." "It was bad," I admitted. "He stole money from the business too. Over $300,000. I lost everything. The marriage, the business, most of my savings. Filed for divorce, pressed charges, sold the business, left. And came here. She was quiet for a moment. "Do you regret it? Coming here, I mean. Starting over with basically nothing." "Not for a second," I said. "And I meant it," she smiled. "Good." We watched Sophie try to fit a torquey wrench into a box too small for it. "I should tell you something," Lily said. "I like you, Sophie likes you, and I'm terrified." My heart did this weird jump. Terrified of what? Of this, of liking someone again, Tyler, my ex. He seemed great at first, charming, funny, sweet. Then we got married and he changed, got controlling, jealous, managed all our money, wouldn't let me see friends, made me feel like I was crazy for wanting independence. "I'm not him," I said quietly. "I know, I can see that. But the fear's still there." "I'm scared too," I admitted. "My ex, she made me doubt my judgment, made me feel like I can't trust my own instincts about people. What if I'm wrong again?" Lily looked at me. "Do you think you're wrong about me?" "No," I said. "I don't." "Then maybe," she said, "we're both right. Small towns get a bad rap. People say everyone's in your business. But here's the thing. When people know you, really know you, they also have your back." The Winter Lights Festival was the first weekend in December. The whole town decorated the park with lights. Thousands of bulbs strung through trees, around the gazebo, along the walking paths. There were food trucks, hot chocolate stands, carolers. I'd been planning for days, worked up the nerve. Finally asked Lily, "Would you and Sophie want to go to Winter Lights with me? Like, as a date?" Lily's face did this thing. Surprise, then pleasure, then fear, then determination. "Are you asking us on a date?" "Yeah, I am." Long pause, then, "Okay, yes, let's do it." Sophie was ecstatic. She wore her best winter coat and light-up sneakers. We walked through the park as a unit, Sophie running ahead to see displays, then running back to tell us about them. Lily and I walked slowly, hands almost touching. "I haven't been on a date in 6 years, Lily said. "I haven't been on a real date in longer than that," I said. "My marriage was..." "We didn't date. We just existed." "Do you miss it? The marriage?" "I miss the idea of it," I said. "The family I thought I'd have. But her? No. I don't think I ever really knew her." "Do you think," Lily said carefully, "you know me?" I thought about that. Morning coffees where we talked about everything and nothing. Afternoons watching her paint while I worked. The way she was with Sophie, patient and funny and real. How she didn't push me to talk about my past, but listened when I did. "Yeah," I said. "I think I do." "Good," she said. Sophie got distracted by the hot chocolate stand. Lily and I stood under the gazebo, lights twinkling above us. "I'm glad you came to Cedar Ridge," she said. "Me too." I kissed her. Soft, tentative, both of us trembling a little. She tasted like peppermint and hope. When we pulled back, she laughed. "I haven't done that in a long time." "Me either. Worth the wait." We walked Sophie home. Lily lived above the coffee shop, a small 2-bedroom apartment with plants in every window and Sophie's art taped to the walls. I carried Sophie, who'd fallen asleep on the walk, up the stairs, laid her in bed. Lily tucked her in, kissed her forehead. Outside on the landing, Lily kissed me again, longer, deeper, hands in my hair. "I'm terrified," she whispered. "Me too," I said. "But I want this. I want to try." "Okay," she said. "Let's try." If you've ever been scared to love again after someone destroyed you, you get it. It's not about finding someone perfect. It's about finding someone who makes you want to try, even though you're terrified. The next few weeks were the best I'd had in years. We went on actual dates, dinner at Magpie's Diner, where the whole town smiled at us approvingly, movie night at Lily's apartment, where Sophie picked Frozen, and I pretended to enjoy it. I taught Sophie to change a tire on my truck. Lily set up her easel in my garage and painted while I worked. We talked about the future, what we wanted, what scared us. "Do you want more kids?" Lily asked one night. We were sitting on my apartment couch, her feet in my lap, Sophie asleep in my bedroom because we'd had movie night and she'd dozed off. "I did," I said, before everything fell apart. Then I didn't. Now, yeah, with the right person, I would. "What about family? Do you want marriage again?" "I want partnership," I said. "Real partnership, built on honesty. I want someone who's on my team, you know?" She smiled. "I'm on your team, Mike." "I know." Christmas came. Lily and Sophie had dinner at my place. We decorated a small tree together, cooked a ham, watched It's a Wonderful Life. Sophie fell asleep on my couch. Lily curled up next to me. "This is what I was supposed to find," I said quietly. "This is why everything had to fall apart." Lily kissed my cheek. "I'm glad it fell apart." "Me too." But I should have known. Nothing good in my life had ever lasted. 2 days after Christmas, Derek and Jennifer showed up. I was working in the garage late afternoon on December 27th, rebuilding a carburetor. I heard a car pull up, didn't think anything of it, looked up. Derek stepped out of an old Honda Civic. Jennifer got out of the passenger side, baby carrier in hand. My body reacted before my brain did. Heart pounding, hands shaking, rage and fear mixing into something toxic. "Derek, after everything." "Here." "Mike," Derek said, walking toward me. "We need to talk." I pulled out my phone, dialed 911. "You're violating the restraining order. Leave now, or I'm calling the cops." "Please, Mike," Jennifer said. She was crying, always crying. "Just 5 minutes. We're desperate." I stayed on the line with dispatch. "I need police at Cedar Ridge Auto Service. Someone's violating a protective order." Derek held up his hands. "We're not here to cause trouble. We just need help." "You need help?" I said, and I heard the rage in my own voice. "You stole from me. You lied to me. You destroyed my life. And now you need help?" "We're broke," Jennifer said. "We're living in a trailer. The baby, Ethan, he needs surgery, a heart procedure. It costs $30,000. We don't have insurance. We don't have anything." "Not my problem." "We know you got money from the business sale," Derek said. "We know you're doing okay here. We're family, Mike. You have to help us." "Family doesn't steal," I said. "Family doesn't lie. You're strangers who destroyed my life. I owe you nothing." Jennifer's voice got shrill. "You're going to let an innocent baby suffer? A baby who didn't ask for any of this?" "That's Derek's job," I said. "He's the father. He should have thought about that before stealing $340,000 from our business." Sheriff's deputy pulled up. Deputy Martinez, young guy, maybe 30. "What's going on here?" "These people are violating a protective order," I said, showing him the paperwork on my phone. "They need to leave." Martinez looked at Derek and Jennifer. "You need to leave, now. This is your only warning." "This isn't over, Mike," Derek said. His face was red, angry. "You owe me. I'll get what's mine." "You already took what was yours," I said. "Spend it all. Not my fault you can't manage money." They left. I stood there shaking, adrenaline flooding my system. Martinez stayed for a few minutes, took notes, told me to call if they came back. After he left, I sat on my creeper stool, trying to breathe. The door opened. Lily ran in. "Mike," Frank called me. "Are you okay?" I looked up at her. "They found me." She sat next to me, put her arm around me. "Tell me what happened." I did. Everything. Derek and Jennifer showing up, begging for money, threatening me. They can't hurt you here, Lily said firmly. I won't let them. But I knew better. They'd already hurt me once. They could do it again. Word spread fast. By evening, half the town knew. Frank showed up at my door. Heard you had trouble. Derek and Jennifer, I said. They want money. They'll get nothing, Frank said. Nobody messes with one of ours. That phrase, one of ours. I'd been in Cedar Ridge 4 months, and somehow, I was one of theirs. Over the next few days, Derek and Jennifer stayed in the area. They checked into a motel in Fairview, 20 miles away. But Derek kept showing up, driving past the garage slowly, showing up at mountain grounds, didn't come in, just watched through the window, sitting in the back of church on Sunday. He was trying to intimidate me, trying to wear me down. Jennifer started a social media campaign, posted photos of baby Ethan, sweet-faced infant with Derek's eyes, with captions like, "My ex-husband won't help save our baby's life," and "When family abandons you." Some people believed her. Strangers commented, "What kind of monster won't help a sick baby?" People who knew me knew the truth, but it was uncomfortable. Ignore them, Lily said. People who matter know who you are. What if they don't stop? I said. What if they ruin things here too? They won't, Lily said, because you're not alone this time. We've got you. Derek's mistake came on New Year's Eve. I was getting ready for the town party at the community center. Lily and Sophie were coming with me. We'd made plans to watch fireworks together. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mike? Derek's voice slurred. He was drunk. You think you can just run away and start over? Leave us to rot? Derek, don't call me again. I'll make your life hell, he said, until you give me what I'm owed. That girlfriend of yours, what's her name? Lily? And her kid? Be ashamed if they knew what kind of man you really are. My blood went cold. Are you threatening them? I'm just saying, Derek said. Accidents happen. People get hurt. Maybe you should think about that. I recorded the call. Colorado's a one-party consent state. I could record without his knowledge. Got every word. Come near Lily or Sophie, I said, and I'll destroy you. Again. I hung up. Called Deputy Martinez. Sent him the recording. That's a terroristic threat, Martinez said. We can arrest him for that. Do it, I said. The town party was packed. Seemed like everyone in Cedar Ridge was there, plus people from nearby towns. Food tables, music, kids running around. Lily, Sophie, and I were standing near the refreshment table when Derek and Jennifer walked in. Derek was loud, obviously drunk. There he is, the man who turned his back on family. The room went quiet, everyone staring. Derek, leave, I said calmly. You're not welcome here. You stole my share of the business, Derek yelled. You owe me. You forfeited your share when you committed fraud, I said. A judge agreed. Derek lunged at me. Frank and 2 other men stepped between us, held him back. Sheriff Martinez appeared. Derek Harrison, you're under arrest for violating a protective order and making terroristic threats. Derek tried to resist, got tackled by 2 deputies. Jennifer was screaming, You're doing this to us! You're destroying our family! I'd had enough. I turned to face the room, everyone watching, Lily beside me, holding my hand. I want everyone to know the truth, I said. My voice shook, but I kept going. Derek stole $340,000 from our business, money I earned, money meant for our employees and suppliers. He had an affair with my wife while we were partners. She got pregnant with his baby. When I found out, I did everything legally, filed police reports, sued, divorced her. A judge ruled in my favor. Derek pled guilty to fraud. These are facts. I took a breath. They came here because they spent all the money they stole, and now they want more. I don't owe them anything. Not financially, not morally, not legally. I came to Cedar Ridge to start over. You all welcomed me, gave me a home. That's more than they ever did. The room was silent. Then Mayor Susan started clapping. Then Frank. Then everyone. Deputies dragged Derek out. Jennifer followed, crying. Lily squeezed my hand. It's over. It's finally over. Sometimes standing up for yourself isn't about revenge. It's about saying no more and meaning it. Derek spent that night in county jail, violated his probation, picked up new charges. Jennifer drove back to wherever they came from. I never saw them again. The threat was gone. The past was finally truly behind me. But here's what I didn't expect. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired and grateful. Grateful that I had Lily. Grateful for Cedar Ridge. Grateful that I'd fought for this life instead of giving up. Because what happened next was the life I'd been fighting for all along. January was quiet. Derek went back to prison, 18 months remaining on his original sentence, plus new charges that could add years. Jennifer disappeared from social media, no more contact attempts. For the first time, I felt safe, not just physically, emotionally. I slept through the night. My appetite came back. My shoulders relaxed. Lily noticed. "You look different, lighter." "I feel free," I said. The garage thrived. Word of mouth brought steady customers. People driving from Fairview, even from Denver sometimes, for European car work. I wasn't chasing profit anymore. Just doing good work, fair prices, treating people right. Making enough to live comfortably, save a bit, give back to the town. I sponsored Sophie's soccer team in the spring. Life with Lily and Sophie became this beautiful routine. Family dinners, me cooking pasta, Sophie doing homework at the table, Lily painting in the corner, weekend hikes, all three of us on mountain trails, Sophie between us holding both our hands, teaching Sophie to fish, Lily surprising me with a painting of my garage for my birthday, reading Harry Potter together before bed. This was what I'd wanted all along. Not the big house, the status, the money, just love. Real, uncomplicated, honest love. By July, I knew. I wanted to marry Lily, wanted to be Sophie's dad officially, wanted to build this family for real. I asked Frank and Pastor Jim for advice on proposing. Bought a ring, simple, elegant, not flashy. Got Sophie in on the plan. She was thrilled. Can I be flower girl? 4th of July, the whole town gathered in the park for fireworks. Lily, Sophie, and I sat on a blanket, watching lights explode over the mountains. After the show, while everyone was packing up, I pulled out the ring. "Lily, can I talk to you for a second?" Sophie practically bounced. "Now, Mike. Do it now!" I laughed, knelt down on the blanket. "Lily, 2 years ago, I came here broken, lost everything I thought mattered. Then I found you, found Sophie, found this town, and I realized I didn't lose everything. I lost the wrong things so I could find the right ones." My hands were shaking. I don't have much to offer except a one-bay garage, an apartment that needs new flooring, and a past I'm not proud of. But I have a future I believe in, and I want it to be with you. Will you marry me? Lily was crying. Yes, 1,000 times, yes. Sophie. "Can I be flower girl?" Everyone around us erupted in cheers, because of course the whole town was watching. People ask if I regret what happened with Jennifer and Derek. Honestly, no. If they hadn't betrayed me, I'd still be in that city, working 80-hour weeks, chasing money and status, missing my life. I'd never have found Cedar Ridge, never met Lily, never become a father to Sophie. The betrayal didn't break me. It freed me. I learned something. You can lose everything and still have everything, because what matters isn't what you own or what you've built. It's who you love and who loves you back. Derek and Jennifer took my money, my business, my pride, but they gave me something better. Clarity, and a reason to start over. 1 year after the proposal, Lily and I got married. Small ceremony, whole town attended. Lily was 3 months pregnant, baby on the way. Sophie was flower girl, exactly as planned. I expanded the garage to 2 bays, hired Frank's grandson as an apprentice, taught him the trade the way my father taught me. Sophie was thriving. Honor roll, soccer team, called me dad without hesitation. Final scene, Saturday morning. The 4 of us, me, Lily, Sophie, and Lily's baby bump, having breakfast at Magpie's Diner. Tom and Sarah brought pancakes. On the house, for the family, I looked around the table. Sophie telling a story about soccer practice. Lily laughing, hand on her belly. The morning sun coming through the window, mountains visible in the distance. This was home. This was family. This was everything. If you're going through hell right now, betrayal, loss, starting over, I want you to know, it gets better. Not quickly, not easily, but it does. And sometimes, the worst thing that ever happened to you leads to the best thing that ever could. Your worth isn't tied to what you own or what someone took from you. It's tied to what you do with what's left. And trust me, what's left is enough. That's my story. How I lost everything and found everything. Cedar Ridge saved me. Lily saved me. Hell, maybe I saved myself. All I know is this. The life I have now, simple, beautiful, honest, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Not the business, not the money, not the old life. Derek and Jennifer did me a favor. They destroyed the life I thought I wanted and forced me to build the life I actually needed. And for that, as crazy as it sounds, I'm grateful.